Okay, here I am wanting to talk a little bit about the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are now hot. Of course, I have many videos where I predicted imminent doom for them. So this 9-game winning streak after a 5-7 start is about as big a shock to me as it is to anybody. But boy, do I love it. And just when things were looking their darkest, really this is the longest extended streak of playing well in the regular season under Ty Lue I can remember. And I'm still wary. I'm still not convinced, but I'm taking the good as it comes. I'm loving it right now. Now I will say that I forgot where I was going with that thought. Damn Alzheimer's. Yeah, I can't remember what I was going to say about that. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at, I will say that I've made a lot of bashing Ty Lue videos and the Cavs. What do I always say? I hope I'm wrong. So, to the extent that I'm wrong, I love it. Now, let's look at some things. First, another thing I wanted to talk about was Bill Simmons, and he's all excited. I listened to him. If you don't know who that is, well, never mind, but he's a famous sports personality, at least somewhat famous, and I don't know, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with him. I've enjoyed his podcast for a long time. They're smart usually, and they're interesting to listen to, no doubt, but he's been getting on my nerves a little more lately for a few reasons. One, he's kind of coming out as more and more of a political liberal. You know, like we need another guy shoving left-wing views down our throat in the sports media and hell, the media period. You know, I mean, I hate the fact that every time somebody wants to be political in a high place, it almost always comes from the left, you know, if not always. You know, like, do something different. Shit. You know, so wow, Simmons is now cramming left-wing views down our throat, just like every other, you know, sports anchor on ESPN and everywhere. You know, there's no conservative sports anchors. There's no sports anchors tweeting about how much they like Trump. There's none. But there's 50 million, you know, practically every ESPN anchor talking about how they hate Trump and Trump is a piece of garbage and whatever. And doing all this race baiting and racism, you know. But anyways, another thing that kind of can get annoying about Sims is a little bit of a annoying, like, his whole stance on Deflategate. You know Brady did it, Simmons. Stop your bullshit, you know. You know he fucking did it. Everybody knows he did it. There was a smoking gun, the texts. That's one of the things that annoyed me most. Whenever you see the liberal media use a certain phrase over and over, you should know something's up. And they use that phrase in the Tom Brady reporting constantly. There's no smoking gun. Yes, there fucking was. There was texts, you know, basically telling the guy to deflate the footballs. That's what a smoking gun is. But you constantly saw this phrase in the media because they wanted to pound it into you. No smoking gun, you know, bullshit. You know, there was and the ideal gas law. Explain the texts, you know. That's the thing. Nobody want to talk about the text. Oh, you know, they'll go on for a freaking year about the ideal gas log. Oh, yeah, what about these hundreds of texts from a guy that Brady said he didn't know? You know, a little suspicious, maybe? You know? Oh, my gosh. Anyways, everybody knows Brady did it. Well, we don't know for absolute certain, but everyone, including the people defending Brady, know there's about a 98% chance he did it. Including Bill Simmons, knows he did it. You know, we all know he did it. So, anyways, point being, you always heard this phrase, no smoking. I was going to, anyways, yeah, if you hear a phrase like that over and over that's designed to make somebody sound good, it usually comes from the liberal media. The one they use a lot now is, I've been noticing, like, paid his debt to society. Because there's this big movement to allow felons and even people in prison in some cases, but to allow felons to vote. Because felons vote Democrat, you know. Bad people vote Democrat. Felons vote, you know, 90-10 or greater, I'm sure, Democrat. So, of course, Democrats everywhere want them to vote. Same reason Democrats care about illegal immigrants, because they vote Democrat, not because they actually care about the immigrants. But anyways, and the phrase I would always see in the paper about these, you know, they had a big controversy in Virginia about felons voting, and they were allowed to vote in Virginia, ex-felons, whatever you want to call them. And it was the big phrase they were constantly, you know, people who have paid their debt to society should be allowed to vote. Paid their debt to society. You know, that phrase was just constantly used to beat it into your brain. You know, you don't normally hear that phrase that much. Paid their debt to society. I mean, everybody knows what it means, and it's a common phrase, but it's not. So if you saw that phrase so much, you know that their agenda, you know, these people have paid their debt to society, quote unquote, so they should be allowed to vote. And it's funny that felons like aren't allowed to own guns, which I think in many cases is unfair. You know, if you did some low-level white-collar felony, why should you not be allowed to have a gun for the rest of your life? You know, that doesn't seem right to me. So why do you never hear, oh, we should allow these felons who have paid their debt to society to allow guns? You know, you would never hear that phrase used in conjunction with gun ownership. You know, paid their. I can get it. You know, you may not want felons to own guns because, hey, felons, you know, in theory committed crimes, but you know, at least make a line of violent felons versus, like I said, you know, somebody who knows what, some kind of white collar felon. You know, maybe you could say violent felons, no guns. Maybe I'd agree with that. But you never hear the phrase paid their debt to society in regards to that. Anyways, gosh, I go off track stupidly on these videos. Point is, Simmons can be annoying with his like Patriots homerism. Oh, another thing, the refs are screwing over New England, or around Deflategate, he was saying that kind of stuff. What are you talking about? All you have to do is watch one New England game to see they get every freaking call. Every freaking call at a crucial moment goes for New England. That's what was during the middle of Deflategate, before Deflategate, after Deflategate. I mean, I saw earlier they had something like they're tied one of the lowest teams of holding penalties this season with 7. They've got 7 offensive holding penalties all season. And when I saw that said, I didn't even, of course they have the fewest. You know, all you got to do is watch one of their games to see they never get penalized. Holding is something you can call on every play, but it's funny how the refs just seem to call on the Cowboys about 20 times a game, and the Patriots never. You know, it's funny how that works. But anyways, so the refs are clearly biased towards the Patriots, and Simmons will sit up there and around Deflategate, especially, the refs are trying to get the Patriots because the NFL's trying to get him. First of all, he's a lying piece of crap, and he knows it isn't true. But anyways, see, that's the thing. He knows Brady did Deflategate, and he knows there's a conspiracy by the NFL to take New England down a peg and all the lies he says. He knows that he's full of shit. But anyway, let's go back to talking about Cleveland and the Celtics. Oh, and one thing annoying about Simmons is he's been really, the Celtics, and I'm a Celtics fan actually. Just talking about my fandom, I became a LeBron James fan, you know, over time as he came in the league, and that's why I am #1 right now. So I was a Miami Heat fan when he was on them. Now I'm a big, huge Cleveland Cavs fan. But once he leaves the Cavs, I'll never care about the Cavs again, you know, unless they're just a young, fun team in that respect. Or, you know, there's teams in sports that you like more or less. Like the Miami Heat are a good example. I don't know why. I've always liked Miami teams. I like Miami Hurricanes. They're my favorite college team. So I always, you know, kind of like Miami teams. I like the Heat, but, you know, absent LeBron James on them or something, you know, I'm not exactly a fan of them. And you can go down the list with every team, you know. And sometimes it comes down to people, you know, who the players are, which I think is more valid sports. You know, I saw somebody once basically saying that, like, you're a more true fan if you bleed for the laundry, you know, the jersey. I don't know. I kind of think you're a more true fan if you go for the human, you know. What's the point of rooting for laundry? But at any rate, I do some of both. I root for the laundry and the humans sometimes. But back to what I was talking about, Kyrie and Celtics, so on. Oh, the point was, I'm a Celtics fan. You know, I was a Celtics fan growing up, very young, but in the 80s when they were those titanic battles against the Lakers, you know, Bird, McHale, Parrish. That's where it started, and I've always, you know, I was always heavily pro Boston in those matchups. Hated the Lakers, loved Boston. So, you know, they were my first NBA team. Now, since I live in the area, I'm kind of a Dallas Mavericks fan. I like Dirk. I like Cuban to an extent, you know. So just by geography, I'm kind of a Mavericks fan. You know, it's not a big deal. I'm not very into the Mavericks, but if they're good, you know, I follow them. Same with the Celtics are. So the point here is that I'm theoretically a Celtics fan, you know. Even though right now my number one rooting allegiance is obviously the Cavaliers. When LeBron retires, it's not going to be, you know. The point is, I'm a Celtics fan. So it's not that, but Simmons just getting so worked up about his teams gets annoying sometimes. And he's gotten so worked up and hyped up about the Celtics lately. And, you know, oh, Kyrie, you know, I knew he could take this next step. And so I wanted to partly make this video to just say, simmer down, Bill Simmons. You know, how about, this is something I can easily see him saying on his podcast, but I'm going to say it to him. Why don't you win something before you brag too much there, buddy? You know, why don't you win an Eastern Conference championship? You know, before you go ahead and crown Kyrie the MVP and the greatest player of all time. You know, why don't you try winning something, bud? You know? That's my main message to Bill Simmons. You know, try getting out of the East before you crown Kyrie Irving, you know, a Hall of Famer, bud. You know, or Michael Jordan 2.0. That's my main message. And I want to make a few other points. Is that, like, I saw on Twitter somebody was saying, you know, like, oh, look, Kyrie has just exploded now that he got away from LeBron. He got out from under LeBron. And somebody was like, yeah, you know, he sure has. His scoring average is down. You know, his assists are down. You know what I mean? Every stat is down. Boy, getting out from under LeBron's shadow, he sure exploded by being down in every statistic. So, and you know, and this MVP, you know, this kind of low-key MVP movement towards Kyrie, come on. You know, this is a point-blank example of East Coast, big city, and ESPN media bias, you know. Nobody would give a shit about Kyrie Irving for MVP if he didn't play for the Boston Celtics. And with ESPN smack dab in that area, you know, come on. I mean, I get it. You can kind of talk about him as a fringe. I mean, he's not going to win it, nor should he even sniff it. But you can't give him any serious consideration. I mean, there's always that guy that you say, like, you know, you got to mention him, but everybody knows he has no realistic chance to win. So I guess I could believe that a little bit. But it's kind of funny to me, you know. Yeah, a guy averaging 22 points a game, whose stats are down across the board, you know, give me a break. Maybe try averaging over 22 points a game before you crown him MVP, you know. And look, I looked, his stats are pretty much down, even his field goal percentage and stuff. His three-point percentage is strongly down, you know. His free throw percentage is down, so it's not just the counting stats. So, you know, simmer down, Bill Simmons. Simmer down. Simmer down. Other points I wanted to get to. And, you know, right now the Celtics are kind of going downhill a little, and the Cavs are doing great. Now, looking at the Cavs, I wanted to go ahead and look at their stats here. I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about the Cavs and how they're playing. Oh, and Brian Windhorst wrote a great column, not a column, I guess, but an article about how, and you sure won't hear this from Bill Simmons or the media elites, but LeBron James has become unshackled away from Kyrie Irving just as much as Irving has become unshackled from LeBron. Basically, if you look at all the fourth quarter stats, the efficiency in the fourth quarter, points in the fourth quarter, points in the clutch, however you define that, shooting percentage in the clutch, you know, all those things, LeBron or Kyrie is one or two. They kind of flip back and forth. You know, assists in the clutch, game win, you know, whatever. Any clutch stats and fourth quarter stats. LeBron was like typically not that great in the past. This season he's really gone, you know, meteoric. And it's right between him and Kyrie leading all those stats, all those fourth quarter stats. So that's interesting because you constantly hear about Kyrie, but you don't hear anything about LeBron. You know, you could make the argument LeBron has been unshackled away from Kyrie as much as Kyrie has been from LeBron. I mean, LeBron. And let's talk about the Cavs. I think you could probably make an argument that, who knows if it's actually true, but you can certainly make this argument. It sounds good on paper that LeBron is thriving because he's back to being the alpha dog. He doesn't have to worry about getting Kyrie's point. He's clearly, the way this team is constructed, LeBron is clearly the alpha male by himself. You've got Kevin Love, but he's definitely the type that's a second fiddle, that doesn't mind being second fiddle. It doesn't have a big ego. He'll get his points and all that, but it's definitely now LeBron's show and everybody else's supporting cast, and it's working right now for the Cavs. Talking about a few other things. Kevin Love, I wanted to touch on him. He's playing great. He's playing great. He's been so productive. He's averaging 19 and 10, just playing within himself, playing in the system. Not superstar, but and I've seen people saying like, this is how bad the Cavs are, and yet they're still winning. And this is a testament to LeBron. Some people have been tweeted in the past. I know Robin Lundberg and stuff. Saying, look at what LeBron's doing with his Cavs team, and the second best player on this team this year might be Kyle Korver, or it could. Who was the other one they were saying it could be? Not any of these guys. Yeah, I guess it was just Kyle Korver. He said you could make the argument that, or Jeff Green. That's the other one he mentioned. You can make the argument the second best player on this Cavs team is Kyle Korver or Jeff Green. And look how LeBron's got him, 9 straight, whatever. And, that's a nice thing to say, and it's probably kind of true. Kyle Korver might be the second most effective player because he's been killing. But really, I was thinking about it some more, especially over the last couple games where Love had 38. Really, the second best player on this team is Kevin Love, He's been pretty strong. He's been real steady. So, shout out to Kevin Love. Really liking his game this year a lot. Really liking how the Cavs are fitting together over these 9 games. Another point I want to make out is, boy, is this team old. Boy, is this team old. Everybody on this roster is, Kevin Love's like one of the youngsters at 29, Korver's 36, 37, Wade's 35, 36, Green's 32 or something like that. Crowder's, I think, one of the young guys at like 26. J.R. Smith is like 20, is like 32, 31. Shumpert, I think, is 26, 27. It's not, with Kyrie gone, he was one of their youngest ones. The young guys they used to have were like Kyrie, Iman Shumpert, and Tristan Thompson that were heavy rotation players. Well, now Kyrie's gone. Channing Frye is older than dirt. Thompson's probably 20. Even the guys who were young are not like 24, 25 anymore. They're 26, 27. The Jay Crowder, Shumpert, and Tristan Thompson, the sort of young guys are now even middle-aged to those guys. Like, let's check out Tristan Thompson's age. He is 26. So he's still pretty young, but he's kind of not doing too great this year so far. So this is an old team, This team lost a very useful guy in Kyrie, and we replaced him with mostly old guys like Dwayne Wade, Derrick Rose to an extent. So, but here's what I love about it, and I hope that Ty Lue is cognizant of this, is actually doing this, which I think he may be, but is look at these minutes. This is what I love. All these old guys, we're so deep. That's what this team is. This team is unbelievably deep. Look at all these players that could play significant minutes, if not start. You can see any of these guys starting at least for a bad team. LeBron, Kevin Love. Let's just list the starters. It's usually these are all pretty much starters. Here's 5 right here. Say if let's assume Derrick Rose comes back. LeBron, Kevin Love, Derrick Rose, Kyle Korver, Dwayne Wade. That's 5. And then we go Jeff Green, Jay Crowder, J.R. Smith. That's 8. Shumpert, 9. Channing Frye, 10. Tristan Thompson, 11. Jose Calderon, 12. We have 12 guys that are legitimate. Like I say, you could see them starting for bad teams. Or at the very least, those are all legitimate NBA rotation players. And 12 12. You know, we go 12 deep. It's absurd. Not counting injuries, because right now some people are out. But that's awesome. And I think the way you've got to use that lineup, especially since we're so old, is everybody can play 20 to 25 minutes, you know. Spread out those minutes, and that's exactly what's happening right now. And it's great, you know. Play Dwayne Wade 20, 25 minutes. You know, if somebody gets hot, okay, play him more. Play Corvers 20. Play all these old guys 20, 25 minutes a game. There's more than enough of them, you know. There's more than enough guys to take up minutes on this team. We got so many guys that can play, you know. So get these guys a lot of rest, of course, with the exception of LeBron. And, you know, you look at these minutes, that's exactly what he's doing. Ironically, J.R. Smith is like the second highest minutes on the team, which is interesting. But he's not a guy I'd worry about age. You know, he's 31, 32, and it's a 31, 32 that you're not, you know, worried about it. That's like his prime in a way. You know, I don't worry about throwing minutes at J.R. Smith physically anyway. Not that he's always the best player in the world, but physically, you can throw minutes at him, you know. But I love how this is working out with the minutes. Give all these old guys 20 minutes a game, and just throw them in waves because they're all still pretty good for in a lot of cases. Dwayne Wade has been great, you know, real standout. Jeff Green has been awesome. You know, now there's Tristan. You know, there's some fit issues with him right now. Derrick Rose, there's some real defensive problems, but we'll see when they get back. I think they can be part of a winning rotation, you know. And I still am a Tristan Thompson guy. Talking about what else did we want to talk about? One thing that's kind of different to this video, but that I would love to see, is I just saw that the 76ers, it was said, are going to go after LeBron James this offseason. Man, I never thought of that, but that would be such a good fit. LeBron, Embiid, and Simmons, holy smokes. Those guys might be able to challenge the Warriors, and a decent coach, you know? Wow, I would love it. More and more I'm beginning to think, though, that right now I think LeBron, you know, I've been on one of these guys saying, like, LeBron's not going to the Western Conference. I don't see it. Maybe I should just do a separate video on this topic, but I don't see LeBron going to the Western Conference because there's too much, you know, you don't want to have to fight through Oklahoma City if they ever get it together. Houston, Golden State, San Antonio, you know. So I think he's staying in the East. That's been my contention all along. All these people, oh, he's gone. He's going to the Lakers. I don't see him going to the West. Why should he do that? So I was looking for a place to land out East. I thought Washington would be a good fit. You know, it needs to be a good team. But Philly, wow, that would be a dream. Those young guys, Embiid and Simmons, holy smokes, I would love to see that. And a good coach, which LeBron's never had, except for Spoelstra, arguably. And he won 2 titles in 4 years when he had that. But yeah, so kudos to the Cavs. Loving what I'm seeing right now. Calm down, Bill Simmons, with your garbage. You know, another thing I wanted to point out was the schedule here. It looks to be, you can't count on anything with this Cavs team because, you know, they can play down to the level of their opponent with ease, and we lost to Atlanta at home earlier this year when they were like, I don't know, 1-6 or something right here. So you can't count this as a sure win. But just looking at it, we got a 9-game winning streak. We got at Atlanta. I believe they're 4-16 last time I checked their record. Let's say we should be heavily favored in all these games anyway. We should be heavily favored. Memphis. Last I checked, they're terrible. Just fired their coach and all that. Should be heavily favored. At Chicago, they're terrible. Should be heavily favored. Home for Sacramento, heavily favored. At Indiana, that's the one tough on paper. Last I checked, Indiana was 12-9, you know, above 500 team on the road. Can we beat them? Of course. You know, we got the talent to beat anybody, but that's a tough one. That's the one that sticks out as a toughie. But then we've got home for Philly. You know, we just blew them out on the road. We should be able to handle them at home, even though they're a pretty good team. We got home for, 4-16 Atlanta again. If there's a gimme game, that should be it. We got home for the Lakers. You know, they're not very good, as everyone knows. We got home for Utah. I'm not exactly sure Utah's record offhand, but they are 10-11, and we're at home, so we should win that one. So you look at it, where was I? And the next really tough game, in my estimation, is this December 17th one at Washington. I mean, you look at the schedule, and the next, we should be favored. Now, by no means does that mean we're going to win, but we should be favored in the next 9, in my opinion. We could run the streak to 18 games before we get a tough test at Washington. The one semi-tough test is at Indiana. Now, again, this is all getting way ahead of myself. They could trip up any one of these games, But still, point there is a 9-game winning streak is in sight. 18 games. So other than that, I guess I don't have a whole lot more to say. Trying to think if I missed anything, because a lot of times I make these videos and as soon as I turn them off, I think, oh dang, I should have mentioned this, or I really wanted to touch on that and I didn't. But so yeah, good on you, Cavs, and everybody have a good one.